it's me, Po, and today I'm here to talk about a dish called tang, which basically translates to beef soup. As someone who loves food, it was rather difficult for me to only choose one dish as the spotlight for this video, but with the recent end of winter, I wanted to bring light to a dish that I've had in many winters since I was a young child. Now, as of today, my mother has always been the one to cook this specific dish in our home, and though we are often ate this during the winter, sometimes my mother would cook this once during other seasons when feeling nostalgic about her hometown. So with that, I've invited my mother here today to tell you guys all about this special dish. Say hello, Mom.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, so today I brought my mom because who would be a better candidate to talk about tang than our star chef? But as the person who has cooked tang pretty much my whole life and many times, there were some questions I wanted to ask you regarding it. So my first question in regards to this dish is, what makes tang so special to you, and what does it mean to you?
This beef soup was my memory long time ago since I was a little girl. My mom, often cooked a big pot of beef soup, and then when I was in my teenage, I went to a boarding school, and right across the street of the school gate, there was a restaurant, very specialized making beef soup. So when I feel like homesick, I often go to that restaurant, have a bowl of beef soup. That helped me a lot to pass through those tough years. So this beef soup, the soup itself actually nothing magic, because it's just a chunk of beef meat in just a clean water. But the special part is that very delicious sauce make the soup a very hometown taste. There is a very particular plant. It's called Pedicularis grandiflora.
Oh, and how do you say this in 中文? In Chinese?
It's 中文 we call it 野苏子. So it's kind of like a herbal medicine, and just based on the name, it's part of the seaweed, the sesame family. It's it's a wild plant. We don't grow them in our backyard. You just go to anywhere, the countryside, you can see it very available everywhere. And mostly, when I Google it online, it mostly the South Russia, which close to Chinese land, and also most of the Chinese northeast part of Chinese. And lots of them grown by the riverbank, grow by the wet area.
So that's kind of like the star ingredient of this sauce?
Yes.
Oh, so that kind of answered like part of the second question too, which is kind of like what makes this dish unique among other cuisines or cultural variations. Have you tried other tangs in other areas with different sauces and seen that it's not the same?
To be honest, I never been to South Korea, so I don't know how they make the sauce in South Korea. But in my hometown, I know this wild flower plant is very available everywhere, so it's so very convenient. So we just usually collect them in the spring, then make it dry so we can use it all fall season. Actually, I also have no idea, never been to North Korea either. So half of my parents, my paternal side from North Korea, my maternal side ancestor come from South Korea. So I really don't know what's their own beef soup special taste, what it tastes like in other country. But my hometown, this is very special, and I believe this is also only limited to our Korean Chinese culture. And I don't think that's like a Chinese in our or anybody I know of, they drink beef soup with this special sauce.
So I like that. In a way, it doesn't have to just be all Chinese cuisine or all Korean, but
Right, it has to be my hometown special cuisine.
So with that, then you can't really find the sauce outside of Yanbian, right?
Right, but since now the online business are very mature, so some people from other part of China, if they want to use that special ingredient, they can always purchase online and they will ship to everywhere in China. In China, the goods transportation is very, very convenient, so they can get it like in a few days.
Given that, you know, you've traveled from China to America, you've made this long and difficult venture. Over the years, as you made this dish, do you feel like it's changed quite a bit and that kind of reflects your transition from China to America?
Right. I try to make this here in United States because I have no way I can get this special plant, the dry plant. So instead, I have to use it, make the sauce close to my memory, which is use the sesame leaf. That's second choice. Or because this sesame leaf is also not available for 4 seasons, so if that's not available, then you just use some cilantro. And another way also make it little tasty is use mint. Mint leaf also help.
Wow.
Yes, I know some people grow mint in their yard. If I really want to get it, I have to make a trip to Flushing, New York. I might have chance to get it from somewhere.
But in the cases that oftentimes you aren't able to, you just use cilantro instead?
Yes, cilantro is the most common.
I also wanted to ask, how did you learn to cook this dish? When did you learn to cook it? And given the Chinese style of cooking where you don't measure really anything, and I'm assuming you guys didn't have recipe books?
Right, we don't have any recipe books to tell you precisely how many grams of each ingredient you put in your sauce. Everything is just all in your mind. If you want to teach somebody, they have to only way they observe how much. Yeah, it's all like how to say, chance to next generation just by mouth.
Oh yes, right. There's oral and visual.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so, I guess what part of your life, what time did you learn how to make it? How did you learn to make it? Was it the same way?
That's a interesting story. Actually, my husband's family, many of them are very good chefs. So I learned actually from my sister-in-law.
Very sweet. So
yes.
You kind of like were just helping her around?
Right. Well, when they prepare, I just see what they use and I adapt from there.
That's awesome. And I guess one last question that I have for you overall is like, what do you wish other people knew about this specific dish, or what do you want people to take away from it?
That's a very good question. I guess the only way is when my daughter have her little friends come visit to our house, I can, serve them with this soup to see if they like it or not. If they like it, then I can, give them some sauce they can try. If they want to try their own, then I'll try my best to tell you what's the best combination.
Oh, I love that. And finally, for everyone watching, I would love it if we could share, I guess, your version of the recipe.
Beef soup is easy. You just buy, in American store or the Korean store, there are beef based on the location of the muscle. I think the most tasty part is the meat close to the bone. So we bought those, and you put them in a cold water for a while. Then you just rinse out all the blood. Then you put the bones in cold water. Then you start to just heat it up. Then because the beef meat is kind of tough, so you have to really bubble it, how to say, boil it for at least 1 hour and a half. And then you try to get rid of the top of those.
Like the gunky,
Yes,
things
gunky things foaming on the top of the soup. You get rid of them. Then you just try to take the meat out of the bone and chop it small piece, and then you prepare your sauce separately. So the way how to make a sauce, you put olive oil or vegetable oil. How to say how much? I would say around 200 milligrams. And then you heat it up, and then you put some pepper flake, dry red pepper flake. I would say how much? Tablespoon, about 10 spoon, let's say. And then you can feel the hot dry pepper flake is soaked with the oil. Then you can see slightly make it a little dark, but not completely, cook it too dark. Just slightly change the color. Then you put the chopped onion. The best choice is the red onion. If no, white onion is okay. And then you put also some green onion, chopped green onion. Everything all chopped to a very small piece. And then you add a little beef soup to make it a little thick, but not completely dry. So add, I would say, also around 300 milliliter. I will try my best to tell. And then you cook a little bit when it's all boiled. And the final step, you put the ideally if you have that dry grandiflora,
the sesame, wild sesame leaf,
then you also make it a small piece beforehand. Then you put those in, then you just mix them together. Finally, you put some fresh chopped cilantro. Of course, also one very important ingredient, you put a lot of salt. I would say 4 tablespoons. And because it's you want to use this salt to balance the whole soup, the salt. And then you also put something very popular in South Korean cuisine. It's called dashita. It's a beef sauce. Yeah, you put that, I would say 2 tablespoons. Yes. And then you all mix them, you well cook them, then you put them in a small bowl, and you can separate. Every day you just take 1 piece out, and you drink your soup with the sauce. Then and eat with the rice. Will be very, very tasty.
And with that, thank you, Mom, for sharing your wonderful recipe. I'll be leaving a picture on the screen right here for anyone if they want to take a screenshot to use it for later. And whether this is a dish that you've tried before or you haven't tried before, I hope that it can give you the same sense of comfort, connection, and community that it gave to my mom when she first tried this dish, learned it, and eventually started making it for me and also even my friends. Thank you everyone for watching.